Okay, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be going over the final part of the light bulb project, and thankfully this part happens to be the easiest and the most fun, at least in my opinion. You might think differently, but any way that you think about it, this is basically, we're putting the last thing, last but not least thing, the glass covering on the light bulb. So, now the fun thing about this is that, well, for one, this finishes a project, and for two, this actually calls for a lot more customization and personalization than the previous two parts of this project, because they had to much more strictly be a certain way, both the base and the filament here. So, to start off, you will want to select the front plane, or any plane you have that intersects through the middle of the base. So technically, if I really wanted, I could also be making my sketch here through the right plane, but I've decided to use the front plane. So after you select whichever plane you want to use, go ahead and go up and hit sketch. Now, we are making a sketch that is meant to be revolved, so it is going to be half of the cross section of the casing to the light bulb. Now, something that I highly recommend, and I mean highly recommend, is to use the use tool so that I can outline the interior, because I'm going to be using that to sketch the light bulb. And so if I click the use and I click the inside of the light bulb here, then that way when I go back to the front, I can actually see through the part of the base that's outside of the plane, and I can see where I need to connect lines. Alright, so as I said, this part calls for much more customization. Now, what this means is basically you have to create a cross section, but it can be almost any shape you want. So, for example, I could just do regular standard shape, which would look kind of like, hold on a second. Something like that. This is the standard shape. But if I wanted to get more creative, I could do something like this. Or, if I really wanted to get kind of crazy and honestly impractical, I could potentially do something like this. So this is a very abnormal cross section for a light bulb. I'm not going to go that crazy, but I am going to be a little creative with mine. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, so please take the time to think about what would really look the best to you and try to go with that. Alright, so get rid of that, and then again, do what makes you happy. Do not do exactly what I do. I mean, unless you really like it. but do not feel obligated to replicate me. Now I'm just zooming in here to make sure that there is as little of an edge as possible. You don't have to be this detailed about it, but I personally want to be for this. So the dotted line is showing up. Click. And then double click again. And now me personally, I'm going to add a sketch fillet here because I want a rounded edge up top here. Okay. Now, the very outside surface is done here, and the easiest way to create the inside is to first select this offset tool up here, then click all the lines that you had included in your design. So mine is, I have to bring mine closer because it was too far out. And that looks pretty reasonable. So I'm going to click to confirm that that is what I want. Alright, and then I have to close the figure by connecting the two lines at that end, and finally I have to go down here and then connect this line to the bottom. Now it's showing up nice and gray, telling us that this shape is closed and it is ready to be revolved, which is what I'm about to do. So, green check mark on that sketch. I have the face selected, and then I click the revolve tool, have it on new, so that I can change the color of the shell independent of the base or the other parts. Of course, it would only be attached to the base. For revolve axis, it would be easiest to just select this line here. And now, as you can see, I have my shell. This is the best part, is performing this revolve operation and then having the finished shape of a light bulb. With the green check mark. Now, the final step is to change the appearance of the shell. So I'm going to, first I right clicked on the shell itself and go all the way down to where it says edit appearance for part 1, not assign material or add appearance to face, because if you select add appearance to face, that will just select whatever face you clicked on. Alright, so I clicked on the correct button. Now, for more of a realistic quality, you'll want to go to the slider bar here and then drag it to the left to make the shell transparent, because normally you can see the filament inside of a light bulb because the shell is transparent. So, actually I'll do that right in the middle at 0.5. Oops, I clicked out of it. I'll have to go back into it. I'm gonna pick out what color I want. Oh, it looks like it's changing the whole thing. And you know what that means is I'm going to have to go back into my revolve selection. And instead of add, I'll need to click new. So that will fix that. If when you're changing the shell appearance, it changes the color of the whole thing, you'll want to go back and make sure everything is set to new. So I have to change that back. I will actually make this kind of a light bluish gray. I will make this part right here black. Appearance to face because it's just the face. Set it on black. Want this slightly lighter than the rest of the base. So I'm going to go to mixer, make this as bright as I can. And there. And I'll have to go back to whichever part my shell is. This is giving me trouble a little bit. But sometimes that's just what programming does. I'm just going to make this my favorite color, which is indigo. So hit the green check mark. I think that looks pretty great. Now, one extra thing that might be useful is down here in the parts section is to rename all the parts to what they are. So part 1 happens to be the base as is highlighted there. Name part 1 base. Now I am going to just fast forward here, and when I come back I will have all of these parts named. Alright, so I have now went through and renamed all of the parts. And now presented is a finished light bulb. It has the base, filament, and everything. And so that wraps it up for not only this video, but the whole light bulb project in general. And if you enjoyed this whole project and you had a lot of fun with it, then let me know in the comments, and I'll be very glad to hear that, because obviously I would love both positive feedback and constructive criticism. So if you think there's something that, I could have done better, just let me know. So again, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.